If they did decide to grab the Aerodactyl, they could only Fusion Strike for one.
Yeah, I don't even think Confusion Strike for anything as of now. I mean, maybe next turn when they play the hand all the way down. Yeah, really a weird spot here for Karl Kujak. I mean, he's got the guaranteed turn 2 Aerodactyl in hand. He's got 2 double turbo energy, so we could see attach to Genesect. Next turn, retreat into Aerodactyl, attach, boom, Ancient Star, V-Star power. But then you have nothing. Is that worth it, is the question.
And I think the answer is yes. That's how powerful it is. That's how much you just have to slow down Lugia V-Star. I mean, if you stop Summoning Star, you know, yes, I'm starting out a little slow. I don't have my Muse just yet.
Yeah, with no Mew in play, though.
Yeah, you know, I'm starting a little slow. But you know what? I'm going to knock you out from the entire game. You're going to have to attach for turn. But yeah, again, very, very interesting. We do see it come out. And yeah, he does have it. That's the thing, though. He does have it.
It is there in the hand, yeah. I mean, Sackett, of course, could play Marnie. There are plenty of Marnie here, 2 in the list, and it's not uncommon to see a turn 1 Marnie from a Lugia.
I mean, would you Marnie this, though, and your opponent just drops
nothing,
a... Yeah,
it depends on what you have access to, for
exactly.
Sure. So turn starting here for Sackett. Did start that Lugia V in the active spot. We could see the Read the Wind this turn, maybe discarding an Archeops. Sackett does have to feel pretty good that his active Lugia is not going down. Of course, there was no Mew V coming into play for his opponent. Does bench that second Lugia V just to be safe, though. It seems like at this point, Evolution Incense now searching the deck for any Evolution Pokemon. Did you get a look at the hand there, Wancho?
I couldn't quite see, but I didn't see anything too playable. So you might just have to be grabbing the Archeops and just going for the Read the Wind. Just like you said, not the most explosive turn, but, you know, you're not really doing anything else as Lugia going second.
Yeah, the bare minimum is getting an Archeops in the discard pile, at least one here at this point, and try to see what you can make happen on the next turn. And if you see an impending Aerodactyl V-Star, you got to start working on some energy attachments somewhere.
That's a good point. That's a good point. At that point, do you start attaching to the active then? Yes, you will get to be able to use Read the Wind, but you also, you know, you're leaving the energy in the active.
Yeah.
And if you have no access to your ability, energy is premium. But yeah, it's going to have to be attached to the active. That's how important it is to get the Aerodactyl into the V-Star and get a couple of cards.
And I think it makes a lot of sense to put it on the active here in this spot, as Karl actually top decks another double turbo energy, so can't even draw a card off of Genesect here. This turn cannot play the hand all the way down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's going to be retreat in Ancient Star and see what happens. But yeah, for Sackett here, when your opponent doesn't have a Mew V in play, you're pretty okay just trying to manually power up this active. You'll eventually get to a point where you can maybe find a boss's orders, bring up this Aerodactyl, assuming it retreats in a future turn, and knock it out, taking that Ancient Star out of play.
Exactly, and something you'll note, Aerodactyl only has 260 HP, so if you get like a couple of powerful energies onto the Lugia and get the boss's orders, you'll eventually have access to your Summoning Star ability. But again, with how slow Karl's start is here, are we about to see the very first ever Archeops-less Lugia win?
It could happen. If there's a time for it, it's definitely now. Sackett almost kind of laughing at the turn 2 V-Star, but honestly should be grinning at the fact that his opponent doesn't have anything else. Does have the capture energy here in hand for Sackett. Brehmer can bring any basic Pokemon into play. Oranguru could be a decent option. Of course, that Ancient Star V-Star power does turn off the abilities of Rule Box Pokemon, so something like Oranguru could still be activated in order to use its Primate Wisdom ability. Talking about last rides, by the way, how about pour one out for Oranguru here?
Oh, man, yes, exactly. Oranguru just has put in so much work. I don't know how many times I've watched on stream and just the one Primate Wisdom getting exactly the card they need. I'm going to miss that. I really will.
You know what? Looks like Sackett maybe didn't get news of rotation is in 2 weeks because he's actually not playing Oranguru in the deck. There's no Oranguru here.
Oh. He's just playing a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Didn't get news of rotation, but still has Yveltal in his deck, so...
I mean, Ditto could turn into any Pokemon.
Yeah,
that counts.
there you go. And it looks like Read the Wind will discard another Archeops here, drawing 3 more cards, and there was another energy attached, so 2 turns away. Does find the Lugia V-Star. We could start attacking as early as next turn if Sackett can find a double turbo energy. What does Karl Kujak have on the other end?
A Stadium, not... It's something you can play at the very least.
Yeah, so Karl could play this whole hand down. Attach the double turbo to the Genesect, play down the Stadium, play the Power Tablet, draw 1 with the Fusion Strike system, but then that is 3 double turbos that have been utilized, and you don't even have a Mew V in play yet.
I think you might just have to do it. You do have access to something like Silene.
Oh my goodness. This is wild. What is happening here?
Just
1 card.
Very important card here. What is it?
I
Judge.
think there's only one card that could help Karl here, and it would be Judge. It's the only card that he plays that would give him access. Another Genesect could be an option, I guess, as well.
Or even just Mew. You just drop Mew at the very least.
Next turn you can draw more cards. Karl took a little peek at it and is not letting us know what he's got. So
just checking here what Lugia does. Yeah, it's going to opt to retreat the Aerodactyl. Again, very important that we keep the Aerodactyl safe there.
Yeah, but Genesect could be knocked out. Aerodactyl actually could not have been knocked out next turn, but the Genesect can be KO'd.
Oh, we're never going to know what that one card is. Just a powerful energy there onto the Lugia. So no attack coming out this turn. But, wow, this one Lugia powered up manually.
Is that an Articuno that I see in Sackett's hand? I think he's playing an Articuno in this deck. What the heck? Yeah, Articuno and Wash Energy.
I'm telling you, Sack is known
He's got
for playing the spice.
Yeah, definitely.
And sooner or later, now you're going to see it on live. Every Lugia, it has the Articuno.
We do see the draw for turn is a Mew V. So that is one more Fusion Strike Pokemon can now use Fusion Strike system to draw one card. Just one card because there is the Aerodactyl in play, which is not a Fusion Strike Pokemon. What is that card?
So
is it Judge?
The card he drew
is a Chromatic.
It's a Chromatic. And the card he drew earlier was the Lost Vacuum.
Here we go. Spin the wheel. What do we get? It's
a heads.
It's a heads. Perfect. Fist bump from Karl. And Judge is maybe going to get him right back into this one.
It could be Judge. You could also just find your third Genesect. You're drawing 3 cards at this. But then again,
Judge gets you 4 though.
Exactly.
And Sackett's got a lot of cards. Yeah.
I agree.
Sackett's been reading the wind for 3 turns. Judge seems like a pretty good choice to me.
Question is though, what Judge art?
That I think is Karl's main question here. It will be. It looks like that Heart Gold Soul Silver art. Big fan of that. That reverse hollow as well. Shuffling up, and then we'll just play that down. I guess this shuffle will count as the shuffle for Judge, but Sackett will have to put this whole hand back in.
Exactly. A big Judge here. Let's see what. Hopefully, I'm sure Karl's just hoping to stop Sackett from possibly drawing an energy, but then again. You know what, Lugia?
Yeah, it would have to be energy plus V-Star, really, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, Lugia plays 16 energies.
Yeah. Hoping Lugia doesn't find an energy is not super likely.
So maybe stopping the V-Star for sure.
And
might
Sackett shaking his head. I mean, come on, Sackett. Your opponent flipped heads on Chromatic. You should have seen that this is the play they were going for.
Exactly. And, again, the question is, what do these players draw? That was a very, very big turn. If there was a way to come back into this game here for Karl, it was definitely getting that Chromatic heads and getting the Mew V at the bench. More importantly, again, you can't quite win the game if you can't attack.
And 4 cards for each player now. See if Karl has something to work with. Does find a Quick Ball, so that will now allow him to draw back up, get another Genesect into play. We do see as well Hisuian Heavy Ball. I don't think there's any basic Pokemon prized, however. Actually does choose to get rid of the Echoing Horn. I think just at this point valuing playing the hand down, drawing cards.
Yeah.
Echoing Horn is something that can be really good in this matchup, and especially when your opponent has already discarded a Stoutland V. That's a pretty easy grab to just put right back onto the bench.
That is true, but honestly, the name of the game right now is just setting up.
Sure.
But yes, and let's see what they decide to find. They did have the Silene in hand, which I like. That means they will have access to possibly double turbo if in the next turns, if the flips go the right way once again. But we're just going to see a Quick Ball here, finding another Genesect, and more draw is always good.
Something to note, though, Sackett did draw into a Lugia V-Star and an Energy. I don't see Boss's orders, though, just yet, so might not be seeing this Aerodactyl go down, but we'll at least see this Lugia start swinging, and it's also the V-Guard Energy was the energy card drawn as well, so that's actually going to be pretty hard for Karl Kujak to find a way to deal with. It's going to require a lot of power tablets and a choice belt as well, and a couple power tablets have already been played. Actually,
if you think about it, the Lugia on the board almost looks as if it was powered up by an Archeops. If I had to pick energies to put on the Lugia, it'd be those exact ones.
Yeah, I mean, seems like good choices to me. You've got the powerfuls there ready for it to be able to knock out the Aerodactyl. Can even get another one potentially to get after a Mew VMAX, something like that.
Exactly. And let's see here. Hisuian Heavy Ball. Actually, not a card I see too often in Mew, just because you're playing multiples of both Genesect and Mew. But maybe that's how it gives you access just in case the Aerodactyl V is prized.
Yeah, I think that's the main reason players choose to include it in their Mew list is when they're playing one of these non-Fusion Strike Pokemon. It also is just a good card because it's pretty likely you're going to prize one of your 4 of Genesect at some point, right?
Exactly. And we're going to see, was that Escape Rope being played? Okay.
Yep, sure enough. And this is actually kind of annoying for Sackett because now he won't be able to attack this coming turn unless he draws into a switching card, which I don't even know if he plays any.
He does play 1 Escape Rope, so
Okay.
it does respect something like the Articuno, for example. But, it's not too often you do see switch cards in Lugia decks, right?
No.
And
So pretty smart heads-up play there from Karl using the Escape Rope, not because it is really being advantageous to him, but because it is setting his opponent back, making it less likely they're able to do much.
Exactly. 1 card disruption, not too bad. Making your opponent just have that much more to get back into the game. Very, very smart play because, again, Sack did have it here. They get energy plus the Lugia. And I believe I did see a research as well in hand, so that's not a bad card to play. Just try and dig for the boss's orders. DTE boss's orders get you back into this game.
Yeah, and setting up for that on the next turn would be really, really strong research now. Seeing 7 new cards off the top. I do think that research as well was the top deck for turn, so that is definitely something Sackett is very thankful for. V-Guard energy being placed on that Lugia V-Star is going to make it much more difficult to KO as Karl will now have to deal 310 damage to it. But it should be easier to deal with this Lugia V. The question, however, is can Karl find double turbo energy? And what a way to do it with the top deck of the Forest oh, never mind. I'm sitting here talking about Forest Sealstone. It was the top deck of the Forest Sealstone, but you, of course, can only use 1 V-Star power.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You cannot use Forest Sealstone if you have already used your Ancient Star. But I made that mistake once on stream talking about that. I'm not going to do it again, okay?
We caught it soon enough, but that's A-okay. Again, you don't need to search your deck when you can just go ahead and grab whatever you want from the discard pile, as long as, of course, if you...
Don't jinx it, Wancho. Don't you dare jinx it. The double tails on the Silene.
That's it. Karl only has 1 double turbo to work with this entire game. What a game state to be in.
This is absolutely wild. Karl does have 1 PAL pad, so that's
okay.
one way to bring back the Silene. There's that Mew VMAX. Oh, 1 more draw of the Genesect Fusion Strike system. Actually, I think Quick Ball was also a draw for turn. It does require losing a Lost Vacuum. That is the 2nd Lost Vacuum going down. But at this point, Path to Peak's not really something that you're going to care about being in play and bumping out of play. So seems fine to lose it. And another Genesect potentially coming out in order to just draw more cards. We know that double turbo energy is in the deck. Can Karl find it, though?
Yeah, again, the deck is still pretty thick. They were not able to really get to do new things. They really didn't get to really draw their deck. And right now they're only drawing 4 cards. They would love to start swinging here, but at the same time, maybe not taking the knockout on the Lugia V in the active wouldn't be the end of the world, right? That means Sackett still has to find the bosses, find an energy to retreat, or possibly the escape rope. I wouldn't mind actually just biding my time, just holding on to the 1 DTE I have, and go for the whole boss, try and knock out the Lugia V-Star, if possible, because again...
That's a big reach, though, is the problem, because...
They're down a couple of power tablets.
Exactly.
So tough spot.
Oh, and actually choosing to discard the Cramomatic here. I like the play of the Ultra Ball, get 1 more Pokemon out so you draw more off this Genesect, but choosing to discard the Cramomatic, that's going to be one of your ways to find your next double turbo energy. I guess Karl is probably making this decision because the other card in hand is a Mew VMAX, and Karl checked the prizes and knows that 1 Mew VMAX is in the prizes, so that's probably why he's going this route, but now is just going to have 4 cards off the top here from this final Fusion Strike system to try and find this 1 double turbo energy.
It's going to be a big draw here. And again, just Fusion Strike system. Again, very, very important draw. I'm at the edge of my seat.
2
cards we
3.
don't need.
1 more. Oh, does not hit the double turbo energy.
I guess it's just a pass from here.
Yeah.
Just buy some more time. You have a judge for the next turn.
Yeah, don't play that this turn, even though you're Silene Flip Tails. You have already played a supporter. It's easy to think you haven't played a supporter card just yet whenever your supporter did nothing.
Exactly. And yeah, it's just going to be a pass now back to Zach. I do see the DTE in Sack's hand. I don't see a boss's orders, though.
Yeah, if Sack can find the boss here. Let's see what this top deck is. Is Luminion, which in theory could get you the boss, but of course that Aerodactyl V-Star turning off that Luminous Sign ability. So attach Read the Wind might be Sackett's best play.
Exactly. I mean,
or attach attack and start being aggressive.
Yeah.
This actually makes a lot of sense when your opponent's down as much as they are.
Exactly. Put in the pressure. Again, they only have one double turbo, and even if they get the double turbo, they're not necessarily taking a knockout. And yeah, we're just going to see the knockout there on to the Genesect and taking first 2 prizes of the game. Not something you see every day. Again, these are 2 very, very fast and powerful decks. And yeah, first 2 prizes. I think this is turn 8 by this point. 10.
Yeah, not what we're used to seeing. And what's interesting here is I actually don't think Karl can take a knockout this turn unless he finds Palpad to get back Silene to get back Power Tablet, because there's only 2 Power Tablets left available. So with the Choice Belt, with 2 Power Tablets, that's 280 damage. Lugia has 280 HP, but there's a V-Guard energy on this Pokemon. So Karl is going to have to go for a 2-hit KO line more than likely.
Exactly. I mean, getting the double Silene off after you get it back with a Palpad, hey, that's a game-winning play.
It definitely is.
But a long shot for sure.
It is.
Taking a 2-shot on to the Lugia, that's not too bad either. Again, it puts the clock on Sackett to really have a response this next turn. If he doesn't have the boss's orders for the Aerodactyl, the game is as good as done.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because if Karl can just 2-hit KO this Lugia before Sackett can find a way to get rid of the Aerodactyl, it's going to take Sackett forever to power up another Pokemon.
Yes, and more importantly as well, deciding to keep the Mew VMAX in hand, that means he doesn't necessarily have to attack with Technoblast. That means he doesn't have to find a switch.
Sure.
He can just start with a Max Miracle. I believe Max Miracle twice. No. Max Miracle twice might not be enough.
I think it has to be Max Miracle into Technoblast, but is still really strong to be able to do this because you set up for the 2-hit KO without having to find a switch card, because we know there's not another double turbo to just pivot between Mews.
Exactly. So great, just heads up play there, just keeping the Mew VMAX. Even if you know that you only have 1 double turbo, I might not be able to attack with a second Mew VMAX. Just having access to the Max Miracle, absolutely huge there. We did see the Judge being played as well. I'm just trying to see Sackett's hand. Is the boss in hand? Do we still have a line here?
That is the big question. Karl did draw a way to thin the whole hand down. There's an Ultra Ball plus a switch, so it could go to 0 in order to just draw the full 6. But it does come at a bit of a cost, discarding 2 more supporter cards, Boss's Orders and Roxanne. It looks like he will just discard the boss and keep the Roxanne. Okay.
Something I do want to bring up as well is Sackett's actually only playing a 2 line of Boss's Orders. Typically, you do see 3 or 4 in the Lugia list.
Yeah, it's 2 boss and no Serena as well. So it's just those 2 gusting options. Usually you see at least 3, 2 boss and a Serena, or just 3 boss. We even saw Andrew Hedrick playing 3 boss and a Serena.
Yeah. And so making it that much harder to really try and top deck, especially when you don't have the support, too, of Orang Guru. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we did draw here. Actually, we still don't have the DTE. Huh?
Nope.
Yeah.
Does have Cram-O-Matic, though, and will have to discard a Power Tablet in order to do it, and that is the only playable card really in this hand to even draw more cards with another Genesect, so it's going to be the flip of Cram-O-Matic. If this is a heads, Karl will be able to get double turbo. It's off the table, and I think it's a tails.
I'd move a lot faster if it was heads. I'd be a lot more excited. So 3 tails in a row here for Karl. I'm sure he's not liking that dice, but maybe the draws would be a little bit better. Fusion Strike.
2 cards, another Cram-O-Matic.
I don't think there's no more
items. Yeah, there's a couple trainer cards. We see that Path to the Peak. We see that Roxanne, but no, that's not. The hand is totally bricked out here. There's nothing for Karl to do. It's just going to have to be a pass.
It might just have to be a pass. Yeah, leaving the Mew VMAX in the active to take a hit. You don't want to give 2 prizes at this point, because at that point, it's just a boss for game, right? You don't want to give up 2 prizes. You want to leave the Mew in the active. There's 2 powerful energies on the Lugia. That means it's doing 260. If they can get 1...
Sackett has boss. Sackett drew the boss. Sackett has boss off of the Judge, evolves into Lugia V-Star, and here comes boss's orders. Get up here, Aerodactyl V-Star. And with that second Lugia V-Star being drawn as well, Sackett is guaranteed to be able to get off the V-Star power next turn. I guess assuming, let's not speak too soon, Karl could put a Path to the Peak in play.
Exactly. We know they have the Path in hand. They also have the Roxanne. So the 1-2 combo for sure. But what would be absolutely hilarious if just Sackett just find their boss on the Roxanne. And not you again.
Yeah.
Would love to see the Archaeopsis.
I'm gonna let you be the one that spoke that into existence. We see Palpad being played. Does find the Silene. We talked about how vital it may be in order to use this card to get back those energies.
Very, very important card here. And yeah, again, it has to be drop the path, find the end Roxanne. It has to be that play. And I just hope, again, just one double turbo in the deck. It has been hiding in there. Deck's a lot thinner than how we started.
Yeah, I don't even know if Karl should feel pressured to go for Roxanne necessarily this turn. I mean, Sackett played the boss, attached an energy. That's about it, right? You don't have much of a read on what else your opponent has, I suppose, and you know V-Star power is going to be activated. It will be the Roxanne. I do think it's smart, though, to play the Roxanne before putting the path down. You don't want to put that into play without having an opportunity to use your Fusion Strike systems, and the deck is thin enough that you should be able to find that stadium once again.
Exactly. I mean, you definitely don't want to play the path down when you don't even have your double turbo in hand, right? And yeah, we're going to have to see here. There's going to be a big Roxanne. I'm not saying that Sack's going to draw the boss's orders here naturally, but we're going to have to see.
2 cards for Sack Brehmer, 6 cards for Karl Kujak. Sack leaving him just flat on the table. Ooh, take a little peek.
Ooh, there's a DTE though, so we're finally going to get an attack off after so many turns.
Yes.
And we also have the Silene in hand. So
for next turn, yeah. There's also that Cramomatic. I see a Battle VIP pass. The perfect target, of course.
So not a bad Roxanne there. And ooh, look, I got a peek on Sack's hand. It's just going to be Evolution Incense and Capture Energy, so nothing too useful there.
Cramomatic does hit a Tails. I think Karl would have loved to have put Path to the Peak in play. Still can draw. We have not seen a single Genesect utilized. And there, what is that, 8 cards, 7 cards left in the deck?
Should be able to draw here. Could even bench one more Fusion Strike Pokemon to draw the full 6. Looks like, yeah, they only have Muse in hand.
Yep. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Try to draw as many as possible. You want to get that path. You want to slow your opponent down.
Does he draw here? Judge. Long stadium. Ooh, no.
That is the wrong stadium. Can thin a couple more cards out, but there's
only 3 cards.
You got to think about the deck out potential at this point as well. Of course, you could always psychically put this Pokemon back into the deck so that you eliminate that potential lose condition. But I mean, Karl still has to take 6 prize cards, by the way.
That's true. That is.
And time is ticking here at this point when it comes to how many cards are available in the deck.
Actually, if you think about it here, right? If Sackett just benches like one more single prize Pokemon, there's not even enough cards in the deck to take all 6.
But that's the point whenever Psychically comes into play, right? So that's when Karl would be forced to do that draw for turn. It's just one. The bottom card of the deck is the path. Are you kidding me? The bottom card of the deck is the Path to the Peak.
So we are going to see some Archaeopsis here very, very shortly because there's no way to stop it at this point. Karl really did his best. Again, he did the Aerodactyl, he had the Roxanne, but it just so happens last card in the deck is the Path of the Peak. And just like that, it's going to be was that Max Miracle or Techno Blast?
Yep. Max Miracle, 170 damage thanks to the damage modifiers, the Choice Belt, and the and that Power Tablet being played as well. We do see Capture Energy coming out, bringing one more Pokemon into play, and this game, I think, is just about over as long as... Oh, it just has the Drapion as well. Could have just attacked with the Eviltal, but you know what? Let's just flex the Drapion. Why not?
I probably would have saved that because we just into a game 2, potentially. It'd just be a little bit of a surprise factor. But then maybe, again, maybe there's not enough energy in the deck there to attack with the Eviltal. We did see him have to discard a couple of Aurora energies early on. So definitely probably the safer play, but... You know, nice to know that there's a Drapion in there.
And how about Sackett finding a way to defeat the turn 2 Aerodactyl V-Star, something that it seems almost impossible for this Lugia V-Star deck to even do.
He didn't use Summoning Star, huh?
Didn't use Summoning Star. Maybe that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to win a game without using Summoning Star. That's why we went for the Drapion at the end of the game.
He did the prophecy.
That was the play. What a game.
Absolutely huge. It just goes to show, you're never out of it. There's always some line. Sometimes it's so tempting to just go for the concede after getting locked off your entire engine. But identifying that my opponent's has a little bit of a slower game, I can possibly get back into it.
How about 2 games so far today, Juancho, for you and me? And we've seen some crazy things happening so far already. What a tournament weekend it is sure to be. Karl Kujak here, assumedly, will be going first, having an opportunity to get down Aerodactyl, and I think is hoping that that opening hand is not quite as clogged up this time as it was in game number 1.
Exactly. Hopefully, again, just luck of the draw. Luck of the dice as well. He's flipped, I believe, 4 tails back to back. So again, could go anywhere. But again, they should be going first again here, so they will have access to the Aerodactyl play. And I just have to say, a lot of players, aren't the biggest fan of Mew VMAX. So some people would think at first gaze that it's just a draw style deck. I wouldn't blame you, but again, there's a lot of nuances. We got to see how important it is to really manage your resources, getting the right attackers and all that.
Sack has an emergency jelly in this deck. What is happening? What is happening right now? Articuno, emergency jelly, wash energy, Drapion, Ditto VMAX.
I told you, Sack is known for these spicy cards for sure. And wow, he just has the anti-Lugia deck.
He's got something, that is for sure. Karl Kujak definitely starting off much better this game with the Battle VIP Pass, only able to play it this first turn, but it has that powerful effect of getting 2 basic Pokemon, placing them directly onto the bench. Aerodactyl V already being brought to the front. We did see Karl as well checking that V-Star was in the deck. It is indeed available to him, so he will have that turn to Ancient Star V-Star power option. And if Karl can pull that off, I'm not sure that Sack can sneak 2 wins out of a turn 2 V-Star power.
Exactly, especially when this time he actually has Mew V in play,
yes.
So there is threats. So it might just be, if he gets it off, let's just go to game 3.
Yeah, and that might, I mean, honestly, I think I would like to see that from Sack. If your opponent gets the turn 2, I mean, you play this game out until you get to that point for sure. But if your opponent gets the turn 2, I would not hate to see Sack just scoop game 2 and go to game 3. We're still far away from that point, but you want to consider, I mean, you want to get wins here. You don't want to sneak away with ties. You want to get wins, and especially when you would be going first in game 3.
And also, how long that game 1 was.
Yeah,
right.
It was a slog.
So you again, that's just something you have to keep in mind in competitive Pokemon, that you just have to have that timer in mind as well if you want to get maximum amount of points. So yeah, you said it right. Just finding the right time to scoop is definitely a skill.
I think we're going to see a switch being burned out here. Attach for turn onto this Aerodactyl. Actually, we'll just use Fusion Strike System for 1 before using this switch.
They have the Ultra Ball in hand there,
okay.
So
that guarantees the Aerodactyl next turn.
Yeah. So not much else we need here for Karl. Again, a lot better board state. When I've said it multiple times, if you open Battle VIP Pass, you're having a good time, and Karl here is having that good time.
I'm kind of curious about this decision from Karl to actually retreat into this Genesect. Oh, I think, you know what it was? It's probably playing around the Drapion. It's probably what it was, right?
That is true. I didn't even think of that. The Lugia is not known for getting a turn 1, going second turn 1 attack. But with Drapion, and there's 3 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, you still have to get the attachment anyway. But yeah, still, if he has the switch in hand anyway, why not?
This is looking like a pretty weak turn. Read the wind, not even discarding an Archeops. And if Karl has the turn to Ancient Star V-Star power, this is going to be really, really strong. And with the Ultra Ball in hand, I think should have it lined up. Maybe burn the switch, draw 1 with this Genesect, and then now on the other end of this draw, you can Ultra Ball whatever you top deck away.
Exactly. So definitely the perfect turn, perfect past couple of turns.
Oh, it's another power tablet. Oh my gosh.
That's fine. Again, it's worth getting that Aerodactyl V-Star in play.
It's worth it, but it's annoying for sure, right? I mean, these are pretty important cards for later in the game, but yeah, I totally agree. If you're faced with the decision of getting the turn 2 Aerodactyl or having to keep both your power tablets, you're definitely ditching those every single time.
I mean, it's not the hardest sacrifice Karl has made to get an Aerodactyl in play.
That is, this is a good point, Juancho. This is a very, very good point. And it's not like this turn is over either for Karl. Still has another Genesect waiting to draw.
Exactly. Can still draw like 3 more cards here, and not even that. They could get more Genesects in play, more Mews in play. But again, just getting the Aerodactyl, That's good. That's a good turn.
Another power tablet, of course. Yeah, really not much going on in this hand here for Karl Kujak. It will just be that Ancient Star V-Star power, of course, giving Aerodactyl V-Star that ability that says your opponent's Pokemon V in play have no abilities, turning off that Summoning Star V-Star on the Lugia V side of things.
Yeah, I just love how rude Aerodactyl V-Star is in the Mew deck. I'm stopping you from playing your abilities while, I'm going to draw so many times using mine. But absolutely powerful there. And now back to Sack. He does have DTE. If he can draw another powerful evolved boss, it's still there.
At that point, though, you need a third DTE because the double
true.
turbo, or sorry, a third powerful, I should say. So it's really kind of annoying that you can't utilize DTE super well in order to deal with Aerodactyl V-Star.
He could draw into something like a Choice Belt as well to help out.
At this point, I got to check the list, though. Yeah, it does have the Choice Belt. Okay. Yeah, we can't assume anything about Sack's deck at this point. Throwing all kinds of surprises at us.
Exactly. I do think I did see a professor's research, so maybe after the research, that's when you decide maybe, okay, might be time to scoop it up, go into Game 3, because right now there's still hope. There is still hope.
And it's tough, too. Nobody likes to concede a game of the Pokemon TCG, but in these tournaments, when it's best of 3, when there's a time limit, it's really an important skill to master, finding the right time to concede, recognizing, hey, I might have a 30% chance to win this game, so I could play it out, I could potentially win, but if you're going first in this matchup, I mean, your percentage definitely goes up.
Exactly. I wouldn't say it's 30% here for Sack, though. There's a lot he needs, a lot riding off this research.
There's plenty of Archeops there, so that's decent at least, but needs to find energy cards, needs to find boss, and needs this Lugia to hang around for another turn as well.
Exactly. He can still use Read the Wind here. He can opt to just evolve the Lugia right now just to make it a lot harder to knock out. But then
that might be the play.
Yeah, but then again, you're losing on 3 cards. I'm looking at the hand. It's not looking too good. There's a bunch of Ball Search, and honestly, I think that's all he really has to work with. But yeah, you're going to have to be evolving there onto the Lugia V-Star.
Trying to give it as much longevity as possible, thinning the deck as well with another Evolution Incense. This can get the other Lugia V-Star, get both of those Pokemon evolved.
And from there, it might just have to be a pass and over the Karl. Again, maybe Sack just hoping, Karl struggled to get that double turbo energy.
Yep.
Maybe magic could happen twice.
I wonder if it's correct for Sack to actually retreat this Lugia into the other V-Star and kind of send it up as a wall. And because you need 3 energy attachments to this Lugia V-Star anyway to knock out Aerodactyl, so why not just retreat, maybe send up this other Lugia as something that your opponent has to deal with. But I mean, Karl's going to do it for him here. Being forced to play boss's orders, okay.
Okay, well, I guess in that case, it was good that they didn't retreat. Although, maybe getting the double turbo out to free up damage. But no, double turbo is just way too important. But yeah, let's see if that panned out there. With Cramomatic and the Battle VIP Pass remaining in hand.
Name a more iconic duo, Cramomatic and Battle VIP Pass, and a flip of a heads. That's something that Karl has been missing out on, and Sackett is actually just going to concede this game.
Okay, there we go.
And I like this decision. I like this decision so much from Sack. There's 16 minutes left on the clock. That's plenty of time for a Game 3 to play out. And Karl Kujak popping off and getting that turn 2 Aerodactyl is enough to secure him the win in Game 2.
Yes, getting that turn 2 Aerodactyl and still having enough resources to play the game. That definitely won them that round there. But again, we're going to a Game 3. Still anyone's game. This might, even if you don't go the Aerodactyl route, Mew still has a lot of tricks up its sleeve, right? We have Judge Path. Actually, that's pretty much it.
That's the trick.
It's a pretty good trick.
Cross your fingers your opponent doesn't draw Pumpkaboo or Quick Ball or Lost Vacuum.
But I mean, that's the Lugia deck, right? When you're starting out, in your first couple of turns, you have to imagine there's 20 breaks. 20 unplayable cards in your deck because you don't want to draw into your energies. You do want to draw into your Archeopses, but they don't really do anything under Path and Judge. So that's in itself its weakness. It's very just, I guess, in deck building, right? So again, it's just a matter of can they get out of it and can the Mew player get to that position? Starting off with a mulligan, though. Definitely don't want to give your opponent an extra card.
I think Sack is having to start with Pumpkaboo. I think Sack just started Pumpkaboo. That's not good.
That's really not good. Making the Judge Path that more appetizing for sure. A couple of prizes here, nothing of no. The one choice belt could be a thing. Again, they only play 2 bosses orders, so there's only 1 in the deck.
If you were just walking by the stream area and you looked up on the screen, you would definitely not think Sack was playing, and you just saw those prizes go out, you would not think Sack was playing Lugia. Wash Energy, the Lumineon makes sense, obviously, but that Articuno is just really the big wild card here.
Exactly, but again, they're 3-0 with this very, very interesting Lugia deck.
Super spicy. And Karl's shaking his head because that hand had 2 Battle VIP Pass in it, but did not have a basic Pokemon.
Would have loved to keep it for sure. Again, 2 mulligans off of Mew. They're not known for they play quite a bit of basics there, and 2 extra cards could mean the difference between really setting up and getting stuck. So I'm sure they did not want to give that, especially in a round 3 here. In game 3, excuse me.
And Sackett will also get a couple extra cards to work with, right? Opportunity to draw maybe some other Pokemon here.
Get Archeopsis into discard pile turn 1. It makes that turn 1 Ultra Ball double Archeops just that much more possible.
Of course.
Which you hate to see.
Karl does find a basic, but it is Drapion as the active, kind of just chuckling about it to himself.
Both players are having a little bit of an awkward start there. A couple of getting the Silene and Palpad prize there.
Yeah, neither of these players is pumped to see either starter here. Sack's hand looks pretty good, though. I do think, like you mentioned, when you get a couple extra cards to work with, it's pretty easy to pull off the Ultra Ball double Archeops turn 1.
I believe it should happen here. I did see the Ultra Ball. I did see a second Archeops. I even have the Lugia V-Star for next turn. So even, perfect turn 1. Not too bad.
Yeah, starting the Pumpkaboo is the question mark here, right?
Yeah.
That makes things pretty awkward. Not only is it taking that Pumpkin Pit ability out of play, which is your main way to respond to Path to Peak, but it's also a chunky little guy. It's got 2 retreat. That's pretty annoying to get out of the active spot.
Exactly. You're going to have to pay DTE or potentially your 1 of Escape Rope to get it out of the active there. Oh, the Escape Rope was actually already in hand.
Yeah, I see that.
So not too bad. Looking at Karl's hand, though, there is a Battle VIP Pass. There's also double Quick Ball, I believe, and a couple of
I think power tablets. Look, all 4 of his Genesect were just right next to each other in the deck. Come on, Karl. We got to work on the shuffling here.
Definitely. Looks like they're just going through the deck, determining what they have in the prizes, what resources they have to work with. Again, Aerodactyl maybe not the most, not something you're going to need to look for, but again, let's see what they decide to grab.
I think it's pretty tough to want to bench Aerodactyl, especially when you start Drapion, because that means your Fusion Strike systems are going to be even weak. I mean, it's already a bit of a nerf for your Fusion Strike system to have 1 non-Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. If you have 2 non-Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, it's a tough time.
Exactly. So again, it just has to be the Judge Path. A Judge Path. They have a lot of draw potentially. They have the Cramomatic as well. So yeah, again, it's going to be a very, very important first turn. I think that's how the Lugia versus Mew match is determined, is really in the first couple of turns.
Sure. And it's another annoying situation here for Karl of having to discard or use power tablets far earlier than he would like.
I know. I feel like Karl has just been seeing those power tablets early in the hand every single game now.
Yeah.
But again, these are some sacrifices we have to make to get to that board state we want to be in. And interesting, quick balling the power tablet. Get I think that's very, very smart. Get the guaranteed Genesect, but instead of trying to flip for something, save that cram.
Oh, for sure.
For maybe later in the round there, or later in this turn.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're looking for a combo like Path to the Peak turn 1, right? And you still want to find Judge this turn. So save your Cramomatic for the other end of your draw. See what you have to work with, and then make your decision.
But it's so tempting to just flip those cards.
I know what kind of player you are, Wancho. Wancho's playing the coins. He's definitely got Crushing Hammer in his deck. And
I've been known to pick up Gambler in a cube, for sure. We did get the double turbo onto the Mew, though. And here we go. First Fusion Strike. Very important. Oh! Forest Seal Stone and Path. Okay,
that's pretty good. And this is a game where you can utilize that Forest Seal Stone since you are planning to not go for that turn 1 Aerodactyl. Also, that switch is pretty nice to get this Drapion out of the active spot.
Yeah, not a bad opening hand there. Again, I think both players just had great opening hands, just absolutely atrocious opening Pokemon.
And this is a great start as well for Karl. This next draw off the Genesect found a Lost City, a way to bump the Path to the Peak on the next turn.
But you're going to have to play the Judge.
You don't have to play the Judge, right? Like, I see what you're saying. It would be nice to play Judge, but you don't have to. There's nothing that says it has to be a Judge plus Path. Sometimes just Path can be enough, and especially in a situation like this where Sack doesn't play a Rangaroo, didn't stack anything on top of the deck.
And the Pumpkaboo's already out anyway.
Exactly.
That's a good point. That is a good point. So we're going to see Karl just opting to use the Cram-O-Matic on the Switch there. Very interesting.
Did hit the heads and is grabbing Judge, so I think we're going to see a Genesect for one card and then probably Judge Path being played.
Exactly, but they're going to have to find another switch off the Judge if they want to be able to attack this next turn.
Yeah, and that's almost why I would have liked to have seen the play of just put the Path down and pass, right? I mean, you've got Switch to get the Drapion out of the active next turn, you've got the bump of the Stadium, and you've got a Cram-O-Matic to work with as well.
But again, because they did use the Cram-O-Matic, they did get the heads on the Cram-O-Matic, they technically got everything they need without having to use the Forest Seal Stone.
True.
So they will have access to that later in the in the next round. So I wouldn't blame them at all here, especially one more Battle VIP pass. Get the second Mew in play. Perfect board. Perfect board. Not too bad there.
Looking pretty good. Is actually thinking, okay, this is a little crazy here. Thinking about the Aerodactyl. What do you think about that, Wancho?
I mean, we know Karl likes to roll the dice. That is definitely a gamble for sure. I mean, start with the Path and maybe next turn you Aerodactyl. Okay. Let's see if this pays off. Very interesting line here from Karl. And
I mean, the main reason I wouldn't have wanted to go for this is because that Drapion is in play.
Exactly. They're only drawing up to 4 now.
Generally, though, if you can get Aerodactyl in play on turn 1, even if you're going second in this deck, it's still pretty good because you're going to Path, and if your opponent doesn't bump the Path immediately next turn, you can still go for the turn 2 Ancient Star V-Star power.
Exactly. And now, because they put down the Aerodactyl, you know, the Forest Seal Stone looks less appealing.
Yeah, but you have options, right?
Yes, options.
Depending on what you draw next turn, or depending on if Sack can respond to the Path, right? If Sack gets the Path out of play, uses the V-Star power, then you know you can use Forest Seal Stone pretty freely next turn.
Exactly.
Ancient Star will serve no purpose at that point in the game.
Or even here, again, depending on what Sack draws into, if they're still only down 1 Lugia, you could just use that Forest Seal Stone to possibly find something like the Boss's Orders, and that's the same thing. It's shutting off your opponent from Summoning Star. So big, very, very big, important, very big Judge here. If I'd have to say most important 4 cards of the match.
Okay.
There's a Ditto and a double
Sack
Archeops.
doesn't have much. Karl's hand is pretty decent. Has Lost Vacuum for next turn. So pass over to Sack. What is the top deck for turn? It is the Stoutland. Not helpful in this spot. We see the Ditto V. It looks like it will come down. Energy attached for turn, and I think that is just a pass from Sack. Yep, and kind of just grinning, recognizing, yeah, this is not good. Kind of chuckling and saying, I'm in danger.
Ooh, I believe Karl does have the Lost Vacuum in hand and has the Path just in case they have to go back into it. So that is definitely an option for sure. You see here Karl just really lining up what cards he's going to be using. He's going to opt to just Ultra Ball, the Cram-O-Matic, and the Quick Ball.
What is so awkward about this, though, is that you're only able to draw 4 cards, up to 4 cards off the Fusion Strike system. So you have much less access to everything in your deck.
Exactly, and
much less than you would normally expect to with this.
I believe the last 2 cards in hand are Path to the Peak and the Lost Vacuum. So now, if he uses this Lost Vacuum, he won't be able to he won't be able to repath the field. But you won't have to do that if you have the Aerodactyl V-Star.
Yep, sure.
But he's going to need quite a bit. It's going to be a Switch and the DTE off drawing 4 cards. So again, I mentioned earlier after the Judge that was the most important 4 cards. I might be wrong. It might be this.
I think Lost Vacuum absolutely has to be played here. Not much going for Karl if he doesn't go with it.
Exactly. And there it is, bumping the Path and sending another Path to the Lost Zone. Both paths, I believe, should be in the Lost Zone. Yeah, there we go.
Quick fix from our Judge. And now 4 cards being drawn, looking for a Switch and a double Turbo. We got 3 chances to do it with 3 Genesect in play. Let's see what he gets.
Only 4 cards. There's a Judge.
Nope, that's a boss.
That's a boss.
Yeah, not quite, but it can at least thin this hand down, right? Can play it all the way down if he wants to. Ultra Ball, get a Pokemon out, Quick Ball away that Pokemon. But you also have to wonder if you're getting rid of too much if you do something like that.
I think it might be worth it. I mean, assuming you get this Aerodactyl line in play, you just have to assume, they're never going to get a knockout. Anyway, I might not need my third, fourth Mew, fourth Genesect, whatnot. No, but looks like they're opting to find the Mew VMAX. Just get that in play. Not too bad either. The Mew in the bench does have the Evolve, and that is a card you can play. So not too bad, but that does mean you're drawing one less card.
And I wonder here if Karl... I mean, there was a line where Karl actually could have just tried to dig for Boss's Orders KO Lugia, right? With using the Forest Seal Stone.
It's still a line.
Well, discarded a boss, though, off this Ultra
that's
Ball,
true.
right? So, like, maybe that would have been pretty good, to be honest. I mean, accomplishes the same thing as using Summoning Star. Or, sorry, not Summoning Star, Ancient Star. All these V-Star powers.
Just so many options.
Yes.
I love how Mew just went from having no V-Star ability to having potentially 2 in the deck. Redrew the boss, though.
I mean, I wonder if Karl would do it. Does he see the line? I mean, you kind of need 2 pieces regardless. You need boss plus a switch plus a modifier. You've got the boss. Or you need switch plus a double turbo, so you need 2 pieces either way. And you've got just a few cards to do that.
I wouldn't blame him to just start with the boss's orders anyway. It does keep the Aerodactyl option open, and it won't get knocked out because, again, because of the double turbo.
Yeah, but if you use the boss, then you cut off your option to use Judge, potentially, right?
That is true.
It's like, which is more likely? So I think Karl's choices here could be like boss, and then play the hand down with the Ultra Ball, draw 4, see what you get. Or play a hand down, leave maybe 1 card in this hand after the Ultra Ball.
Which is the boss.
Could leave the boss, and then draw 3, see if you get Judge. That might be the better line.
Again, so many micro decisions you do have to make. And again, just like I said earlier, at first glance, it might just seem like all you do in Mew is draw. But again, it's really managing those resources and making sure the lines you take are the right ones. And we're going to see here just all the balls being played. I believe those are all 3 types of balls right now on the board.
Yeah, everything that Karl has access to in the deck. Something else we do need to be mindful of, though, is that clock. Just about 3 minutes left on it. We're in a situation where a tie is becoming a real possibility here.
That is true, especially if we do see the Ancient Star coming into play. Sack might just be playing for a draw at that point, because if we see a game as slow as that first one, that might just have to be it.
Might be all Sack needs, and Sack kind of just tapping the finger, waiting for this moment to come, seeing what his opponent is going to do here. And it's 3 cards here for Karl Kujak. We've gone through the different combos that he could utilize. Both of those combos do involve a switch, however, so that is the main piece needed. At least getting off an attack here, even with the Mew VMAX, would be decent.
This is the last Fusion Strike system, by the way. So off this 3 cards, he needs at least the switch. At least the switch, or at least one of the pieces.
Gets nothing.
Okay.
Oh, does get the double turbo energy. The thing about it, though, is you can't use your Forest Seal Stone and then use Ancient Star. So
so it might just have to be the Gust.
It could be Retreat, Boss, KO the Ditto. That could be decent. Or Retreat, Boss, hit the Lugia.
They still have access to the Forest Seal Stone. So it could be Retreat,
Boss.
They have Boss in hand.
Damage modifier.
Then damage modifier.
Yeah. That's the line. That's it. That's what Karl probably should go for here.
Let's see if they see it. Again,
I don't think a Supporter's been played, right? We're not missing that?
I don't think so, yeah. I mean, we were debating this entire time about the boss's orders in hand.
And I think, Karl's kind of piecing it together here. Reach for that V-Star power marker for just a moment. And if you KO this Lugia V, it's the same thing as using Ancient Star, pretty much.
And there we go. We're going to see the Forest Seal Stone Star Alchemy being played now. Half a Star Birth. We see the Choice Belt being put to the top of the deck there. That's exactly what he needs. Or the Power Tablet right behind it.
Yeah, I think Choice Belt makes a little bit more sense as it's something you can use multiple turns, whereas Power Tablet only lasts for 1 single turn.
Exactly. And I believe that is what they decided to get here. But again, 1 minute left on the clock. If they take this knockout, it's still could be possible, assuming Sack benches another 2-prizer.
And look at Sack already ready to bring up this Lugia, just waiting for the moment. And sure enough, Boss's Order's being played. You can tell these players know what's up and know what's happening in this game. And to be honest, Path to Peak, Ancient Star, it doesn't really matter when Sack's hand is an Archeops and a Stoutland, and that is it.
Oh, no. All right. Dude, he does draw into a quick ball here.
Okay.
Could find himself a Luminion, but that might be a game-losing.
And the thing about putting the Ditto in play as well is now it can become the Lugia V, right? And can become the V-Star on this next turn.
I totally forgot about that. Again, Ditto V, something we don't see every day. So, yeah, we could potentially see the Lugia V-Star. Minion being played now, finding the professor's research. Okay, yeah. I think that was a great play. I think if Karl could have found the another path, but both of them are in the lost zone, that would have been the perfect turn for them. But just like that, Sack actually finding the line to get back into it here.
Does need some help, needs to find that. Lugia needs to find a way to get this Pumpkaboo out of the active spot. I mean, we could see a world, though, where Sack pops off, maybe gets off an Evil Tall play even, knocking out this active Mew. There is that V-Star. Okay.
He does have it here. There we go. We see the transformation there.
Yep.
Ditto turning into Lugia V, and since that Ditto has been there for a turn, it can evolve. But I believe, yeah, time has been called here, and Sack should be turn 0.
Yeah, Sack should be turn 0 at this point. Now, I don't think Sack drew a double turbo energy. That's something that he really probably needed if he wanted to get a 3-prize KO this turn. Oh, we can't forget about the Drapion. I'm so used to not seeing this in this Lugia deck. And at this point, it's going to be a huge jump ahead for Sack, as well as this will KO the only Pokemon that can attack on Karl's end of the field. There are no replacement Mews to send up.
That is true. Again, Sack just surprising us left and right. You know, it's funny, Ditto could actually transform into Drapion as well, so he can has access to 2 of them.
Oh, man. Say it isn't so.
Just all the spice. But there we go. We do see the Primal Turbo powering up the Pumpkaboo to be able to retreat. But even then, I don't think Sack can win in the next couple of turns.
Yeah, it's tough. And, yeah, Karl won't put a 3-prizer in play next turn. There's no way to even do that. I think Sack probably wins this game, assuming it plays out. Does need to place his damage. Yep, we'll go on to an Archeops. Pretty easy choice. And I mean, Karl, it could be Drapion versus Drapion.
Unfortunately, Sack does not play any Fusion Strike Pokemon, so
yeah.
Karl cannot attack with that Drapion. But again, we counted Sack out. Right? We were thinking that was the play. You get the boss's orders on the Lugia V, take the lone Lugia V, by the way, take that knockout, and that's the same thing as doing Ancient Star. Nope, we were incorrect, because Ditto can transform into a Lugia. Absolutely.
It just looks so innocent and unassuming on the bench, and then boom, all of a sudden it's a Lugia V-Star. Yeah. What the heck happened?
And then we're thinking, oh, there's no way to get the Pumpkaboo out. Wait, right, Drapion. I think Sack just very masterfully built his 60 there, and I believe that's going to be it.
Yeah, it's either a tie or, yeah, we'll get word of exactly what's happening. It looks like players are figuring out exactly what happened here. It could be a situation of, Karl recognizing Sack probably wins that game, but also at the same time, we're so early in the tournament. I think Karl is fine taking the tie, and Sack recognizes the situation, and sure enough, we're looking at the match slip on the table. They have circled tie.
And what a series of game. Very, very hard fought tie, in my opinion. And again, Lugia versus Mew, this is something you will expect to run into when you go into a regional, but not a Sackett Mew, for sure. No, Sackett Lugia.
Sackett Lugia, the Sackett spice being brought to the forefront on the main stage. What a game, what a set, what a first couple of games we got to cast, Wancho, here in round number 4. It's unfortunate to see a game like that end in a tie. I do think Sackett probably would have won that game if they had played out a little bit faster, or if, that game had a few more minutes left in it. However it works out, though, it will come away a tie, and we'll be getting into round 5 soon.
I'm surprised we actually got that much closer. I mean, close to a conclusion in that game 3, with how game 1 ended up, right? Again, I will watch that game 1 just to see how crazy that was necessary. Just the Lugia-less win. The Archeops-less win. Not something you see every day.
No, they'll write that one down in the history books right there.
Exactly.
A crowning achievement of the Sword and Shield era. A game Sackett will never forget, winning a game as Lugia without ever putting Archeops down. And it's not like it was like attach double turbo, knock out your opponent's only Pokemon.
No.
That was a long, hard-fought game. It lasted 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And getting the right text for it as well, the Drapion, just to finish it out. Yeah, no, that was an absolutely amazing game. Again, despite it ending at a tie, huge congratulations to Karl and Sackett for giving us a beautiful game to watch.
Yeah, a lot of fun for sure. Let us know what you're thinking, watching along at home. We'd love to hear from you. Interact with us over at Twitter, use that hashtag #PlayPokemon. We'd love to hear from you. What did you think of that game? What did you think of Sackett's deck list as well? We definitely saw the spice, and it just goes to show, even though we're here at the end of the format, we've talked about how this format's so played out. We've seen so much Lugia. Players are still trying to find ways to innovate, even if it's just a couple of cards in the best deck. We're still finding spicy new things.
I mean, you know what? Something I'd love to see is Sackett play in a Lugia mirror. To really see the Articunos come into play and all that.
How relevant really is it? Is the question, right?
And the Ditto VMAX. I would love to see what the Ditto VMAX
Yeah, what
does.
matchup, I wonder, is this good against? I mean, something, it has still 320 hit points, so it can be, maybe it's good against Lost Box or something like that, if you can copy one of the various attackers they have, KO a Raikou, KO a Dragonite, maybe, something like that.
Oh,
maybe copy, I guess you're not getting enough cards in the Lost Zone to copy Sableye.
Copy Moonlight Shuriken, potentially, something like that, yeah. We'd have to ask Zach.
I wonder, yeah, that's something to keep track of when you're playing a card like Ditto VMAX. At the end of the tournament, how many different attacks did you copy with it, with that max transform?
That is true. That is true. And I mean, not only that, I'd love to ask him what else the